I've made over $250,000 a year in corporate America, and I won't say it was hard or easy, but there was sacrifices. If I could go back and talk to the 22-year-old version of me walking into my first warehouse job, I'd tell him, you're about to gain the world, and in doing so, you will almost lose yourself in the process. This isn't just about logistics. It's actually about leadership, it's about identity, and it's about purpose. Because after 17 years in corporate America, I've got stories, lessons, wounds, and wins. So let's unpack what this journey really taught me and where I'm going next. You don't climb corporate ladder by talent alone. You climb it by having grit, leading with humility, and learning how to lead yourself first. Like many of you, I have this semi-feel-good career story. I started at the bottom level with the company I currently work for, loading trailers as a temp worker. Within 30 days, I became a full-time employee, and I eventually was promoted to a supervisor. 2 years later, a department manager, eventually an ops manager, other titles, other positions, they came and went, and eventually a director of operations. I learned the warehouse from the ground level, picking cases, scanning them, loading them, routing, shift turnover, performance metrics, and financials. I literally did it all. And at the time I was learning all of the hourly functions, I was doing it so that if any area needed help, I could assist. My reasoning for it though was because I wanted to rack up overtime so that I could make more money. I didn't know it would lead me to a lot of eyes on me that would eventually come with a promotion, more responsibility, but more skills to learn. And I'm grateful for all the skills. However, I sacrificed a lot. I sacrificed enjoying my weekends. They actually became obsolete. Working weekends became the norm. Multiple missed birthdays was a common thing, followed by excuses of I have to provide gifts. And family time, it was non-existent. In the beginning, I was only focused on the early wins, the promotions, the pay raises, the recognition. You know, where I come from, you don't see what happened to me happening to a lot of people. So to be young, African American, with a position in leadership going from $12 an hour to $37,000 a year, then $45,000 a year, that was a big deal. And honestly, it became intoxicating, so I kept my foot on the gas. A lesson I would share is you can grow fast if you outwork everybody, but speed without strategy, it'll burn you out. You can be praised at work and still be completely lost at home. Have you ever said yes to everything your boss came to you and asked? I was that guy. I said yes to the overtime, emergencies, covering shifts. Like I said yes to everything. I remember working a full 8-hour shift from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m., going home and then being back at work at 11 p.m. to go to 7 a.m. because the team needed help and I wanted to prove myself to everyone. And honestly, it worked. I put the company above everything, my health, my family, and rest. I told myself I was just being responsible, doing what needed to be done. I skipped doctor's appointments, I missed birthdays, I ignored the headaches, and I silenced the exhaustion because I thought loyalty would secure my future. I poured every ounce of energy into the job, hoping one day they see my worth. And they did. But here's the truth. The company didn't lose sleep when I was burnt out. The company didn't check in when my family barely saw me. The company didn't hold space for my dreams, my healing, or my purpose. And that's when I realized I was building someone else's legacy at the cost of my own. Another lesson that I would share is if you don't set boundaries, people will unknowingly bury you in their expectations. Success, it leaves clues, but you have to be paying attention. I made a decision to stop waiting for growth to happen, and I started creating it. I found mentors inside and outside of the organization because I realized that elevation requires exposure. I didn't wait for someone to hand me a roadmap. I picked up books, I listened to podcasts, and I took ownership of my personal development. My future depended on it because honestly, it did. I built systems that started to work. I stopped trying to do it all myself and I learned how to delegate with trust and vision. That's how I created high-performing teams, not just employees. And the results? I didn't just lead, I actually duplicated leadership. I trained thousands of associates and over 50 leaders who went on to elevate their own careers. And that's kind of the impact that they can't measure on a performance review. Now I know leadership, it isn't just about doing everything. It's about building something that leads when you're not in the room. That's what real legacy looks like. A lesson from this is multiply your impact by pouring into others. Real success is building people, not just processes. Sometimes the wounds come from what you don't say no to. What hurt me the most wasn't just the long hours or the pressure to perform. It was losing myself in the title. I became the role, the results, the recognition. But somewhere in the climb, I stopped asking, who am I? And when I'm not producing, what am I? I ignored the early warning signs. The exhaustion, it was disguised as grind. The Sunday night anxiety, I called ambition. The emotional baggage I carried that didn't even belong to me, I wasn't just leading projects, I was holding the weight of everyone else's struggles and mine too. The truth that shattered me the most was my value was never supposed to be tied to a performance metric, but I had let it be. I had mistaken burnout for purpose, validation for vision, busyness for belonging. But pain has a way of shaking you awake. What I know now is I am not my job title. I am not the applause or the paycheck. I'm actually the purpose behind it all. And healing begins when you remember who you are outside of this hustle. Here's another lesson. When your self-worth is based on your work, any failure, it feels personal. You can pivot without quitting. You can evolve without abandoning your journey. There came a point when I realized success at all expenses of self isn't really success. I had to choose me, and that moment changed everything. I started therapy and journaling, and I've never told anyone this. It wasn't just to cope, but to heal, to process years of buried pressure, performance, and people pleasing. Then I built something bigger than any job title. I birthed a vision, untapped potential, a brand that just wasn't about me climbing higher, but helping others to rise. I stopped chasing promotions and started building a legacy, one that would outlive me. And the biggest shift, learning to lead with emotional intelligence, not just through goals, but with grace, not just managing tasks, but impacting people. I found freedom not in just doing more, but in actually becoming more. The lesson here is, don't let your career consume your calling. They can coexist, but only if you make room. I'm not starting over. I'm starting from wisdom. I'm no longer just focusing on climbing. I'm building a legacy. I'm building leaders. I'm building systems that free people, not just fund them. While I continue to operate in excellence in the corporate space, I'm also transitioning into full-time entrepreneurship with intentionality. I no longer see it as either or. I'm taking everything I've learned in boardrooms, break rooms, and behind the scenes and turning it into blueprints for others to rise. I'm committed to helping the next generation unlock their untapped potential, not just through inspiration, but through action. And what that means is creating coaching programs that elevate mindset and leadership, producing videos that speak to the silent battles we face, and sharing real stories, not just highlight reels. Equipping those who still feel stuck with the tools to break through. Because where I go from here isn't just about me. It's about helping you see that your next level has always been possible. You just needed someone to light the path. And now I'm walking in it boldly while reaching back to help others do the same. If you're feeling stuck, overworked, or unrecognized, you're not alone. Start by rediscovering who you are outside of your job title. Build the life you want, one step at a time. 17 years taught me that you can win and still lose yourself. But the beautiful part is you can come back to yourself at any time. If you're ready to unlock your untapped potential, drop a comment below. I'm not done yet. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe, make sure you hit the notification bell so that you can be notified when we share more content, and make sure you share it. Share this video with somebody who may need to hear it. And remember, growth is uncomfortable, but it's always worth it. So let's grow, let's win, let's lead from within. Later.